Alright, so today I have my 2003 1300S. I got a lot of questions about my new keyless ignition system. Again, I said keyless ignition system. You still have to have the key for the gas cabin. I will go over later more about how I built the system and what I did. But essentially what I have here is a fob. This is a lock and unlocking module for vehicles. So how this works is with the fob out of range, the bike is off. However, when I walk into range, the ignition comes on. And as you can tell, I had to be fairly close to the bike before that happened. To reiterate what's going on here is all this is doing is turning the ignition on as if there was a key. As you can see here, there is no key. So all I have done is essentially turn the key on. That's all I have done. This is not a remote start system. The bike does not start with this once you get it in range. And yes, I am missing this fancy chrome cover here. If anybody has one for sale, let me know. I'll most likely buy it. With that being said, if the bike is in gear, like that, and you go to try to start the bike, see, kill switch on, it does not work. So the factory safety features are still in effect. Again, not a remote start system. The bike back in neutral, and key still in range. You can start the bike. So just to show you guys that all this does is ignition and ignition only. Because if I take the key here, I'll keep this in view, and walk away from the bike shuts off. This is not how I turn my bike off. I use the kill switch option to turn my bike off when I stop it. I do not stop, put the kickstand down, and walk away and let my bike shut itself off. However, it can be done. I had a lot of questions of if you left your key behind, if it was in your jacket pocket in your garage, or whatever the case is, and you go to ride away and you forget your key, shut off your bike, you're totally screwed. As you can tell, if you left your garage, you wouldn't make it out of your driveway because I am 10 feet away from that bike and the bike shut off. So if you did leave your key at home and you changed your jackets, left it in another jacket, and you were able to start your bike because you have to be within a pretty close proximity of the bike for the ignition to be on, it's just, there's not a possible way that you can ride away without your key and be stranded somewhere. On to the cons of this system. Things that I don't like of this system is if you are at a gas station and you guys are filling up, taking a break, and you're standing near your bike and your ignition is on, leaving your headlights on and everything else. However, you're not going anywhere on your bike because you're just standing there talking. Or if you walk up to your bike and you have to get something out of your saddlebags or anything like that, and you're worried about your ignition coming on, going off, coming on, going off, potentially draining your battery. That's a feature I don't like. I want to switch this over to where when the kill switch goes off, the ignition goes off, which is not happening right now. So I want to be able to hit the kill switch off, turning the ignition off, but when you turn the kill switch on, it only turns the ignition on with the fob in range. That's what I want. So if you got a little more thinking and a little more wiring to do to figure out that system and to make it work. So if you are hanging around your friends and you're near your bike and you want to turn it off, all you have to do is simply pull out the key fob, click the button, and the ignition will turn off even though you're in range. Now if you exit range, return to range, the bike will turn back on. If you're standing near your bike and you had to use this feature and everybody's like, okay, let's ride. Well, you don't want to look like an idiot walking away from your bike and walking back to your bike to turn it back on. So to fix that situation, push and hold, and the ignition will come on. Then you simply put the fob back in your pocket and you ride on. The other thing that I do not like about the system currently is there is no failsafe. If the battery were to die in this, essentially the system thinks that it doesn't exist, will shut down your bike, could potentially leave you stranded, or if you go out to start your bike and you realize your battery's dead, you won't be able to start your bike. So I do want to add a system, a hidden switch or something somewhere that would be fairly easy to get to but not noticeable, that I would manually override the system and start my bike and ride on, bypassing this entire system. There are a lot of people that ask me why I did this. I did this because, for one, I wanted to prove to myself that I can do it. I can make it happen. I come from a 12-volt electrical background in cars. I wanted to prove to myself that I can make my bike keyless. Why did I want to make my bike keyless? As most of you guys know, the key system is here. If you have a lanyard or anything on your bike, which you cannot see in this video, I do not think, is lanyards and other keys just completely beat this cover piece. And I eventually want to black out the bike. Black is not easy to keep clean. Having something to drag on this would only show more chrome later on. So I wanted to get around that system, and I had a bad habit of leaving my key in the bike because it is down here away from the top of the bike, and I would always forget about it. I wanted to do that for those two reasons mainly. Now, where did everything go? Where did I put all the ignition stuff and everything else? Well, essentially what I've done is I have removed the ignition system, removed the wiring from it. It unplugs from underneath the seat. So people are wondering, what about hot wiring and things like that? Honestly, it's harder to hot wire now than it was with the factory setup. So I don't have any issues there. I put the whole system inside the toolbox here. Yes, I put a screw here because this did not work. It just flapped open anyway after some riding and vibrations of the bike. So I put the whole system inside here, and I mounted the proximity sensor here. It's hidden out of the way, especially if I get a cover here, and you'll never see it. Do not want to put that behind any kind of metal because it does reduce the range of the bike. Being here behind a plastic piece, there won't be an issue there. I've had a lot of people ask me if I'm going to make these, where can you get it? How can I make my bike do this? To make it easy, this is not a kit, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. Will I make them? I honestly don't know if I will or not. If I did, I would want to make sure that everything is plug and play, no cutting involved on the bike, and has a failsafe along with the kill switch feature. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, I'm not savvy on electrical, can you build me a one? The chances of that could happen in the future. I would like to use the system some more, get some time with the system, make sure it's going to work correctly, how I designed it to work, how I wanted it to work. If I find anything that's, hiccups or things that don't work properly, then I want to be able to fix those before I do it. So you guys will have to give me some time before I even think about trying to make this. And I do want to make the system smaller and extremely easy to install if I did so. On to how I did this. Again, I used a lock and unlock module. The problem that I had with this was it only sends a pulse to the vehicle, 0.03 seconds. That's not long enough to keep your ignition on or anything like that. So I had to, in turn, build a series of relays to be able to make it a constant 12 volts with a pulse signal switch. That way, whenever the key's in range, and as long as it stays in range, the bike stays on. I'm going to insert a picture here of the raw wiring and everything of the system to show you what kind of went into this. So I'll go ahead and insert that picture now. So as you can tell, there was a lot of wiring and there was a lot of moving in between relays and things like that. So if I did build a do-it-yourself video, it would be rather intensive video, and it could be kind of lengthy on how to do it, gauges of wires. So there's a lot of stuff that comes into play when working with ignition systems on 12 volts. So essentially that is the system that I have used here on my bike. So there it is. My system for my 2003 VTX 1300S, keyless ignition, not keyless remote start. I think I have covered pretty much everything. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to let me know. I would love to be able to answer those to the best of my abilities, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys didn't enjoy it, that's fine too. It's my bike. I will run it on my bike and enjoy it. Thanks for watching.